The views expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect those of this station.
Welcome to Insights into Northeast Michigan, a WBKB News public affairs program. Insights deals with the issues affecting those in the community, as well as Northeast Michigan and the state. And now, Insights into Northeast Michigan.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Insights. I'm your host, Lindsay Idaluca. This week, we're going to be talking about how to stay healthy during the holidays. I'm sitting with Sarah Morrison from Bay Athletic Club. And Sarah, you're the Community Outreach Director, correct?
I am.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Our pleasure.
So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the background of it. Obviously, it's difficult during the holidays. Everyone's very busy. There's lots of treats and sweets around. So I wanted to talk to you about how to stay accountable and, kind of stay on top of yourself for the holiday season.
Right. Well, like you said, there's a lot of reasons to kind of lose track of, your health. You're busy. There's parties. You just don't have time in your schedule. And there's always that saying that a lot of people have probably heard that over the holidays the average person gains like 8 pounds or something like that. Yep. It's different every time I hear it. But in reality, the average person, it's more like 1 to 5 pounds. It's not as drastic, but the scary thing about it is that most of those people never take the weight back off.
Wow.
So that adds up over time. So that's why it is really important to just be more mindful. And
Definitely.
I think that's the number one thing when it comes to being accountable over the holidays is more the word mindful and just thinking about what that means.
Okay, absolutely. Because can you imagine, say you're, between the ages of 30 and 40 and you put on, even if you put on 1 pound every holiday season, that's a lot of weight.
Right.
So that absolutely. So you were saying, it's difficult, to schedule time. What are some things that people can do, to better schedule their time or to make time for a workout or even, make sure that they pick up the salad versus, taking a stop at McDonald's?
Well, first let's just start with workouts. If someone is having trouble scheduling workouts in, of course, figure out what works for you. 6 a.m. is super successful for a lot of people. Some people might not be morning fans, but once you get up, I guarantee it just feels so amazing to have that done, and then your day can just get as busy and crazy as you want. So
Absolutely.
That might be an idea. Another idea might be during your lunch hour, commit to just 20 minutes where you're going to go walk the stairs in your office or walk around the building. Just try and find a place to have some movement in. Your workout doesn't have to be 60 minutes, 90 minutes. You can actually split it up throughout your day. Maybe
Definitely.
you do a 10-minute little routine before you get in the shower in the morning, and then you do another 10 minutes at night. So you just have to be creative, and you just have to not try and be perfect.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to get it done.
Absolutely.
That's better than not doing anything.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that you say that it doesn't have to be 60, 90 minutes because, we all hear everybody says, a good hour is ideal. Everyone would like an hour, obviously, to work out. But what would you say to those people that may only have 20 minutes that maybe they can't even get to the gym, but what ideas would you give them to something to do?
Definitely, get out and go outside and go for a walk. Who cares if it's cold? It's also pretty. Just bundle up. You could go for a jog. If you're into running, I love to head out to a trail. It's a little bit safer and easier to run on. There's not ice. You don't have to worry about that in the winter. You could do an in-home DVD, obviously. Okay. That's easy. You could do your own workout program where maybe you do the stairs for a minute and then you do squats for a minute and then you do tricep dips for a minute. Just get creative. Or you could even hop on YouTube. There are
good idea.
Yeah, there's so many awesome workouts.
Absolutely.
One of my favorite sites is popsugar.com.
Okay.
They have fitness and they have 10-minute routines. There's Zumba routines all over if you like to dance.
Very cool.
That could be something where you have a playlist of your favorite workouts. So that'd be a great way to get it in quick.
Absolutely. That's great. Yeah. And I mean, everybody has 10 minutes in their day, so everyone can make time for that. And you said something about parties. And during the holidays, we're around a lot of our friends, a lot of our family. So talk a little bit about how you can, you can partner up with people at work. You can team up with family, friends to kind of, get your fitness going.
Right. So I had mentioned just being mindful. And like you had just said, it's really easy at parties and with your family and busy shopping, grabbing food on the go. It's really easy to just make that happen every single day.
Oh, yeah.
And when you start to do that consistently, that's when that 1 to 5 pounds starts to be your new friend on your belly or your thighs. So, you know, figuring out how to get accountability in your life. And accountability is really just being more mindful. You know, when you're out shopping and you're grabbing something quick to eat, you're going to pick a salad versus a burger. You know, when you sit down at the end of the night and you want to relax, maybe you'll get up and do 10 minutes of some fitness versus just sitting there. So an easy way to do it, I mean, you could get in an online fitness group. You could talk to your spouse, your best friend. I mean, there are other people in your life who probably want to stay healthier during this time of year as well.
Absolutely.
So let someone else know. You know, you have to talk to someone about it. Or, hey, it's great to jump into an actual like fitness program. I know we offer boot camps at the club, and the number one thing that people say is that it just made them think about their day. You know, they get that workout in, but they're also eating healthier throughout the day because it just sets you up for success and that mindfulness about what's going in your body.
Absolutely, and I know personally, and I know it's not just me, but when it's scheduled, like you said, a boot camp, you know, when it's scheduled like that, you are mindful of it. So you're like, oh, you know what, maybe I'll have a yogurt instead or an apple instead because I don't want to feel bad later when I'm working out. You know, when you're working out, you want to feel good.
Yes, and for some people, it's having a commitment to something. So maybe that would be great if you got in a boot camp or something throughout December because you are committed to it, or you do commit to an online group or a support group locally. You know, having people that you have to talk to and who expect you to be there makes you be there.
Definitely, and it's proven, you know, people that have other people to work out with, they can push each other. So I think that's great. I personally like to work out with a friend sometimes, you know, because it gets your juices going, especially around the holidays when you're around so many friends, so many family. So we only have a couple minutes left for this segment, but is there anything else that you would want to share with our viewers, you know, to remind them to stay mindful for the holidays?
Right. Well, definitely take some action. Excuse me. You know, if you want something to change, you have to change. If you want something to be different, you've got to do something different. So, you know, do something with this information. You know, we really appreciate you watching and supporting us, but do something to make yourself feel really good these holidays. And it could be just as simple as saying, like, honey, like, I want to make sure I feel great going into January. Like, are you on board with me?
Yeah.
Let's cut out desserts, or let's, you know, not indulge as much alcohol at parties. Like, just figure out a rule that might work for you and tell someone else about it. Or reach out to some friend or family member, co-workers.
Definitely.
The place where people mess up the most is at work, and I bet there's a ton of holiday parties and treats coming into a lot of offices. Get your coworkers on board to help you out. Take a walk with them in a lunch hour. The main message of this is that you just got to do something different, and it doesn't have to be huge. It can just be something small, and it will pay off so big if you're consistent with it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Sarah. I appreciate it. But don't move, because next we're going to talk with Kelly Bolin. We'll have some new recipes for you to try out this holiday season. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. For this segment, we're going to have some nice little holiday recipes for you. I'm sitting here with Kelly Bolin. Kelly, you're the administrative director, right, at Bay Athletic Club?
That's correct.
All right, and you also, I always get the great emails from you with all the great recipes.
The resident BAC foodie. I love food. I love talking about it and creating recipes that are more like health-minded, so they're
fantastic. All right,
super bad for you.
Great. Well, we have a lot to talk about. I love food too. So,
yay!
All right. So, the holiday season, food is, it's, you know, it is the big topic. Everybody, and especially sweets. You know, everybody's got lots of food. They got tons of options. And today we kind of want to give you some different options. So one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is how to lighten up your dishes. You know, there are different options. You can maybe not put such, you know,
you don't have to load everything down with extra fat, and especially with salt and fat. There's so many different ways to add flavor to your traditional holiday dinners.
Absolutely.
One example that comes to mind is mashed potatoes. When it's funny, we were talking before, and you had a story. I have a very similar story. I was at a person's house for Thanksgiving, and they put 2 sticks of butter into just a normal-sized bowl of mashed potatoes.
Wow.
That seemed a little unnecessary because, you know, what are mashed potatoes without cream and butter?
Yeah.
They're still mashed potatoes.
Mashed potatoes, exactly.
They taste pretty delicious. And so you can lighten up dishes like that. Just, you know, add maybe some extra flavor. And if you do need to whip the mashed potatoes with something, don't add cream and butter. Just add milk. It will make it just as delicious
Absolutely.
and helpful.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
All right.
that's
So one of the
way.
things you were talking about too is turkey. Turkey's a big thing for the
Yeah.
holiday. We can put up the graphic. We have some things we can show you guys. There you go. So we were just talking about pureeing things. You can puree vegetables too. Lightening up your turkey. You can put just herbs on it. So what would you have to say about that?
Absolutely. There's a great way to, you don't have to smother your bird with butter. You don't have to put a bunch of, gravy. You can just make things light and healthful with maybe just stuffing your bird with vegetables, or lemon is a really flavorful way to give it juice and flavor, and then fresh herbs, rosemary, thyme, sage, they all go so well with poultry.
Absolutely.
So try just chopping it up and adding that kind of flavor instead of fat.
Absolutely. Lemon, that's a great idea. I never thought about that. Oh, now I'm hungry. Now I want some turkey.
Me too.
All right. And last, we were talking about soups. Soups, that's a great way to start your meal. You know,
bet.
it's brothy. It doesn't have a lot of calories in it, a lot of vegetables.
It's a great way to sneak in vegetables for maybe some of those more picky eaters in your family that wouldn't necessarily want to have a side of vegetables, but in a brothy soup or even in a vegetable puree, add a little bit of water or stock to a vegetable puree, and you have a nice creamy soup that doesn't have all the added fat and calories.
Absolutely.
It's just a way for you to start your meal without maybe the tendency to overindulge later on, because you have a solid base of good, healthful vegetables.
Absolutely. And I can say from personal experience, my mom, for Christmas, she always made a great squash soup. And it was very, and it was just like that. You know what I mean? It was just a little bit of broth, but it was just very clean, and it was delicious. So
That sounds really
that's a good tip. Absolutely. So going back to sweets, that's the big to do over the holidays, and you gave me some great recipes that we're going to share with you guys. One of them is for a cleaner cheesecake. So we can put the ingredients up on screen for you, and it looks like a lot of ingredients, but it'll definitely be worth it. It sounds pretty delicious. So you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, the cheesecake recipe that we have here, it's lightened up by not having so much cream cheese. You're having a little bit of extra creaminess without adding fat by having some pureed pumpkin. And this can just be the pumpkin out of a can. You don't have to go and bake your own pie or bake your own pie pumpkin and all that good stuff.
Okay.
And then Greek yogurt is the other secret ingredient.
Oh, delicious.
So most cheesecake recipes, the serving size has about 400 calories.
Oh, wow.
This recipe has about 150 calories per slice.
Wow.
So it's definitely lightened up.
Wow, absolutely.
Yeah.
And yeah, the Greek yogurt, it'll give it the same creaminess, I can imagine.
Yep.
And
And the tang that you're looking for from the cream cheese, it's not lost. You still have a little bit of the cream cheese, but it's just not as much. And the sour cream, we've nixed that.
Yeah.
That's a traditional ingredient in regular cheesecake. So the Greek yogurt replaces that without losing the flavor.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and definitely you guys can take these recipes. We'll show you a cookie recipe in a minute, but this is something that, if you're going to a holiday party, bring a healthier option, right? You can, because you can always
have the
eat your
power.
own stuff. Exactly. You can always eat your own stuff if you bring the healthier option, or share it with other
That's right.
people.
Introduce people to different things that they haven't maybe had before. For one holiday, I was having, my grandmother was there, and she's like 86 years old, and she was taking a bite, and she's like, "What is this stuff, Kelly?" And I said, "That's kale, Grandma." She's like, "Kale? I've never had that. It's good.
It's delicious."
She liked it. So
Oh, that's great.
I was so pleased. So you can do the same thing. Crowd-pleasing dishes are roasted root vegetables that just include sweet potato, butternut squash, maybe a turnip. They're actually quite good. And just roast them in the oven, 400 degrees for about 45 minutes. They don't need a whole lot of extra flavor. A small sprinkle of salt and pepper, and you have a crowd-pleasing dish to pass.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's take a look at our cookie recipe too. We have some delicious cookies, some whole grain breakfast cookies. So talk about what makes these cookies healthier than your, original chocolate chip.
Right. These cookies, they have a lot of ingredients.
Yes.
But they're so healthy, you could definitely eat them for breakfast and not worry about having a sugar spike, because the typical cookie, it's a base of sugar and butter. You cream them together, and that's essentially, along with a bunch of cups of white flour, that's your basic cookie recipe. Doesn't sound very healthy. So mix up your cookie recipes by, instead of having extra fat, take and use some vegetables. So in this recipe we have applesauce, there's bananas, peanut butter. You're adding nutrition and taking some of the less nutritious fats out.
Absolutely.
Throw in flavor, unsweetened coconut, nuts, and whole grains. Oats will make this cookie delicious, a little nutty, but it's going to give you the energy to last throughout your morning. So they really are healthy enough to eat for breakfast, but you might find that you might want them for other things too. Maybe this is the cookie that you replace your traditional holiday cookie with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they have a little spice in them. They taste a little holiday-ish too.
Yeah, that's nice. And I can imagine, with all those healthy ingredients, it must be nice. You don't feel as lethargic after you eat something that has, nutritious value to it.
Right. People don't always, associate that, bad food with how they feel afterwards. If you aren't used to, having a lot of sugar in your diet, like in the holidays, there's all these other cookies and cakes and, sweetened beverages that maybe you would normally avoid. And you try them, and maybe you overindulge, and you feel bad afterwards. It's true. Like your blood sugar is spiking and then crashing. And it doesn't make you feel great. But healthy, good choices, solid, nutritious choices are always going to make you feel good on the inside. And generally they're better for you. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us,
Thank
Kelly.
you.
And there are some great new holiday recipes that everyone can try out. That'll be great. Thank you. And stay tuned, because next we're going to talk to Tracy Granata about how to start your year off right. Welcome back, everybody. For this segment, I'm talking to Tracy Granata. Tracy is the general manager at Bay Athletic Club. Tracy, we're going to talk a little bit about setting some New Year's resolutions, right?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. All right. So we have some 5 main things here to set yourself up for success for 2014. So first thing I wanted to talk about is, okay, say you made your goal. You have a goal, whatever it may be. So talk about setting short-term goals, because you want short-term goals before you can get the ultimate goal.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So when you set short-term goals for yourself, the most important thing is that you want to have a start date and an end date. So for example, if I want to, train to run for a 5K,
okay,
that's my ultimate goal. I may set the goal for the 5K to be in 3 months from now. But each month I want to be at a certain point. Maybe I'm running a mile by the end of that first month. Maybe it's 2 miles by the end of the second month, 3 miles then for the end of that third month. So having short-term goals so that you can measure your success along the way and track it is totally key when you're setting yourself up for the big long-term goal in the end.
Okay, and talk a little bit about, not only does it set yourself up for the long-term goal, but mentally, when you can meet the smaller goals and you're on your way to your big goal, how does that feel?
Oh, it feels amazing. And when you can track your success along the way, you're like, yes, I did it. And you can see your progress, which really helps keep you motivated and keep you going when you can see your progress along the way.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that's great. And okay, so you used a 5K for an example. A lot of people talk about running with a buddy. That's a really good idea. So talk a little bit about, we were talking about earlier with Sarah, how working out with somebody else is always, it's a good push. So talk about how that'll work.
Yeah, having a buddy to help hold you accountable is the ultimate, goal. It's key. Research shows that when you have somebody that's holding you accountable, you're more likely to stick with something. So, for example, going back to my 5K scenario, that when you're training with a buddy, if you're supposed to meet somebody at a local park to go out and walk or run your 5K, you're less likely to cancel on that person because they're expecting you to show up just as much as, you're expecting them to show up. So having that buddy to call on, meet up with, email exchange, Facebook message, and just check in and see how progress is going is key to holding yourself accountable and key to your success.
Absolutely. And going back a little bit when we were talking about smaller goals to the ultimate goal, can you talk about how important it is to set realistic goals for yourself?
Yeah, no, that's totally key as well. Setting yourself up for failure is not anything any of us want to do.
No.
So when you set realistic goals, you want to make sure that they're measurable into a certain time frame. So for example, if it's a weight loss goal, I'm not going to say to myself, I'm going to lose 20 pounds in a week, because that's probably not a very realistic goal. But if I break it up into smaller chunks and break it up into something, that's timely, 2 to 3 pounds a week, of course, that's something that I can achieve reasonably without doing anything drastic.
Okay. All right. So kind of going along those lines, let's say that there is a man or a woman, they're maybe in their 30s, you know, and they've never really been big into working out, but they're like, okay, you know what, this year, January 2014, this is my year.
Yep.
So what would you kind of say to them would be a good mix between weights or cardio, maybe because maybe they don't have a gym membership yet?
Yeah.
What would you have to say to them?
Yeah, no, some important questions that I would ask them first is what kind of time do you have during your day? And how many days a week are you looking at? You know, that would be the biggest thing, is to look at your calendar, look at your schedule, and figure out what kind of time I have and how many days a week do I feel like I can, you know, contribute to working out and taking care of myself.
Definitely.
Once you have that, you know, look at what kind of goals do you have. Do you want to sleep better? Do you want to feel better? Do you want to lose some weight, lose some inches? Is it a fitness goal? From there, you know, we'll break it up into smaller chunks. So yes, strength and cardio is important for total body fitness, but if I have an endurance goal, for instance, the running, it's going to probably be a little bit more cardio focused.
Absolutely.
So, you know, doing some research, connecting with a trainer, looking up on Facebook, YouTube, kind of using those types of things and resources to help you figure out and track your own goals and what might be, you know, a realistic goal is key.
Okay, definitely. Yeah. And you're talking about a little bit about making a plan, and time is definitely something that we never have enough of. You always hear, you know, there's not enough hours in the day to get everything done. Yes. But talk a little bit about not only that, but eating healthy. You know, meal plans, preparing your lunches for work are a huge thing. You know, personally, I like to try to prepare meals on a Sunday. I'll cook. Sunday is my cooking day, I call it.
I'm with you on that one.
So talk to our viewers a little bit about how important it is not only to even make small time for exercises, but to have meal plans too.
Yeah, so scheduling, like you said, you know, Sunday is your meal planning day. I'm the same exact way. You know, Sunday is when I go to the grocery store, and it's when I look ahead at my week and I plan stuff out and put it in the refrigerator and have it just for my week. You know, I bake chicken breasts in the oven so I can grill it or put them on salads, warm them up for dinner, things like that.
Yep.
So yeah, looking ahead at your week, looking ahead at your schedule and planning things out that way. Planning takes time. Yeah. It really does. But in the end, you know, it's worth it because it's grab and go then. It's much easier throughout your week. Same thing goes for your fitness, you know, scheduling it into your calendar like you would a doctor's appointment or a dentist appointment or a business meeting that you have at work. You know, if you just block off in your calendar from, you know, 7 in the morning till 7:30 in the morning or 4:30 in the afternoon till 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you know, just scheduling it in there and planning ahead. Yes, it takes time initially to do that, but in the end, it's brilliant.
It'll be worth it when you reach your goals, right? Absolutely. And then lastly, I just kind of wanted to talk to you about, once again, you set realistic goals, and I think that the one thing that everyone needs to keep in mind is to be patient with themselves. You know, if you're working your hardest and you're giving it all you have, then you will see results. It might not be immediate, but patience is key, right?
Patience is totally key, and I think a lot of people get stuck on wanting to see instant change right away, especially if it's a weight loss or an inches loss goal, and that number isn't going to change right away. But overnight, you are going to feel better. Absolutely. I promise you that. Just even eating healthier and moving more, you're going to feel better. You know, a lot of us use aches and pains as an excuse not to do anything, but I guarantee that even overnight, those are going to be, you know, eliminated. You're going to feel better that way. You're going to sleep better. Your skin's going to feel better. So yeah, patience is key. Don't look at that number. Don't focus on it. That number will change over time, but the other things are more of an immediate gratitude.
Absolutely. All right, well, thank you so much, Tracy, for joining us. And I hope that now you've got some great new recipes, you've got some new plans to start your 2014, that everyone can start their year out right and make some healthier choices this holiday season. Make sure to tune in next week at 11 a.m. for your next episode of Insights. Have a great weekend.
Insights into Northeast Michigan is produced by WBKB News. If you have any comments, suggestions, or topics you would like to see on a future show, please email WBKB News. This has been a production of Thunder Bay Broadcasting Corporation. All rights reserved.